Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zonde with your technology and social media news. We hope you still are staying at home and keeping safe where you are. Remember, it is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you have unsubscribed to any of those streaming services, as we are hearing that a lot of streaming services are not doing as well as they did when hard lockdowns started. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Firstly, here's what's coming up tonight. The vaccine online registration process has started for over 60s in South Africa. Xiaomi, Oppo and Vivo are now in the top 5 smartphone brands in South Africa. Huawei has fallen off. We look at the entry-level smartphones in South Africa. And in our discussion, we chat about banking as it goes even more and more digital and safety issues around this as well. As South Africa gears up for a bigger vaccine rollout program, it has started online with registration for people over the age of 60. Nokwazi Hlongwane is from Clement, a township outside Pinetown. Today is the day she registers to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. She has fears that her technologies might fail her. She's also worried about a possibility of fraud should she ask for assistance.
We elderly, we were not exposed to this technology. Now we had to get someone to assist you. And that person who's assisting you, that person can take your information. And you might find yourself getting calls from other companies that say you are owing something because they've used your information.
After logging on, Hlongwane punches in her details. And it works. She has registered to be vaccinated.
The process of getting vaccinated for the elderly people is going to be a good thing for us.
Recently, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize announced that South Africans over the age of 60 can now register online to receive the jab. It's one of the groups that are most vulnerable should one get infected with COVID-19.
You must have your ID and medical aid card, if you have one, ready before you register. And when you register, it's very important that you put the correct cell phone number, the address where you live, and the correct medical aid number if you have one.
In another part of Clement, we meet Robert Ramukwena. He has been struggling to register.
The category la ekufakwa khona ama details ibingaveli ibivela kodwa manje ilanti eyesight yami ayikwazi ukupture into ebhalwe lapho.
Ramukwena says he's asked his grandson to assist, but he too did not succeed.
Ngangimfonelile ke wathi useyizamile naye ayenza same thing isystem.
Some say while this form of registration is a brilliant idea, it will be a struggle for those who are illiterate and those who are not digitally savvy.
There are so many fears around the issue of the registration online, simply because there are so many scams that are currently happening, but over and above that, there is an issue of the people that are kind of like illiterate, right? And the youth that is supposed to assist the elders when it comes to the registration, they themselves, they're not educated enough.
The health minister says details captured during the registration process will be used to communicate with the participant once the time has arrived for them to be vaccinated. And don't be scared of those technologies. Get in there, register if you really want to get vaccinated. So Xiaomi, Oppo and Vivo are brands that a lot of us were not familiar with until a recent while ago. Huawei was popular for a number of years in South Africa and even went all the way to #1. But Huawei has fallen off and the other 3 are now in the top 5. Here's producer Sandile Hlangani taking a look at how the entry-level smartphone division is in South Africa.
Samsung and Apple are still dominating globally, but smaller players are challenging in the fast-growing markets. This poses a challenge for actors in the ecosystem to constantly meet the dynamic change of mobile players.
At the height of the pandemic, smartphone sales dropped significantly. That industry quickly bounced back as soon as things opened up again. Strategist Analytics says smartphone first quarter earnings are up in South Africa. Number one is Samsung, followed by Apple. Then it's what you probably won't expect, newcomers Xiaomi and Oppo in third and fourth place.
For Samsung, it is the quality of phones within the mid-range market, because they have a number of products that are specifically targeted for the entry market as well as the mid-range market. People are looking for phones, for smartphones, but also the issue of affordability becomes an attractive issue. So Samsung's phones are well priced and they're good phones for the entry as well as the mid-range market.
Huawei, which was once at number one, has fallen off the top 5. This happened after former American President Donald Trump banned a number of Chinese firms from doing business with American companies. Huawei is Chinese and were blocked by American Google from using their Android operating system.
Huawei was a strong competitor, but the reality of the market is that you're going to find that that space that's given up to Huawei will eventually have another competitor to Samsung coming into place. And that's why I don't think Samsung can sit back, and that's what they're doing. They're not sitting back and going, we've got this benefit right now and we're absolutely going to rely on it. I think they continuously innovate and continuously create amazing devices in order to ensure that they keep exciting the market.
And Huawei obviously is falling down the list because obviously they can't access the technology they want from the US for chips as well as the software.
While Xiaomi and Oppo are relatively new to South Africa, the Chinese brands have been popular in other parts of the continent for a number of years.
Globally, the mobile market now is obviously dominated by a few Chinese brands, and of course we have two very strong Korean brands and of course the American brands. We see, of course, the Korean and the American brands as our biggest competitors globally. However, we match the strategy for a specific country depending on who it is we basically going to be targeting.
A name you probably weren't familiar with, also in the top 5 in South Africa, now is Oppo. They started as a manufacturer of MP3 and DVD players before moving into Chinese smartphone market.
You know, we've got 4 different products currently available on the market, and we are growing our portfolio, you know, month on month or bi-monthly. So we are targeting from your entry-level consumer sitting at that 3,000 Rand price mark all the way up to, you know, Reno 5, which is sitting at about a 14,999 price point. So we've got a product that caters to each segment.
Also playing in the same entry-level space is Mara phones. They are manufactured in Kigali in Rwanda and in Durban in South Africa. Mara describes itself as an African smartphone brand and even sports the proud South African logo. With Huawei's problems with Android, Samsung decided to take advantage of the gap that presented itself. They have introduced lower-end smart devices in the form of Galaxy M series and are launching one phone after another in the A series segment.
So with the new Galaxy A range, we're excited to introduce a variety of devices that enables them to connect the way they connect in this day and age. So the youth are always sharing, consuming and communicating live in the moment. And with the new Galaxy A series, it's the right tool to express their creativity and accommodate their feature needs.
Instead of taking a mass marketing approach, which it has been doing so far, Samsung wants to target specific communities, including photography enthusiasts, gamers, and entrepreneurs.
So with the Galaxy A range, we've got the Galaxy A32 5G as well as the Galaxy A52 5G. And these particular devices are uniquely positioned to enable the youth to connect, to download, to game at lightning speeds. So we are allowing these particular segments and youth to be future-proof and are giving them access to technology that will empower them and give them access to a better connectivity and better engagement with their communities, sharing data, vlogging, and the advent of TikTok. Really, it's about giving those target audiences the right device to enable them to express their creativity their way.
While Samsung is celebrating its new top position, fellow South Koreans at LG announced that they will be shutting down their loss-making smartphone division, and brand enthusiasts don't seem happy.
안녕하세요. LG폰을 23년간 사용해온 매니아 유현수라고 합니다. 현재는 90개 정도를 수집을 해서 일부는 사용하고 있고요. 안타깝게도 LG가 이번에 철수를 한다고 해서 제가 직접 자가수리를 하면서 앞으로 쓸 수 있는 데까지 평생 쓰려고 생각하고 있습니다.
April, as sales of the new iPhone appear slightly weaker than originally forecast, some tech analysts are worried that Samsung's momentum may slow in coming quarters.
Smartphones are the most demanded devices today, owing to a change in the lifestyle of the people.
Over the years, a number of online radio stations have launched in South Africa. There's been Cliff Central, Touch HD, and even Massive Metro. There have been various others as well, but a lot of these don't seem to be doing so well on listener numbers.
The city of Johannesburg recently announced the launch of their online radio station called Joburg Pulse FM. And the reason behind the launch is to close the communication gap between residents and the city. Though a good step in the direction towards the fourth industrial revolution, South Africa remains a country that is reeling over high data costs.
Online radio stations, they sound cool. However, the tricky part about it is just that the data. I mean, like, we are all crying about data in South Africa, so it's still cheap for me to do it via traditional and just listen on my radio. It's cheaper, so it makes more sense for me financially.
The country has seen a number of online radio stations mushrooming about, some even by famous people. While these online platforms are currently afloat, some have fallen flat to the ground.
There's a lot of mushrooming in the digital space, and purely because this platform, it's easy to really start a digital broadcasting facility. But I think my assumption also supported by what I've seen is that not everyone is studying it because they have the love for broadcasting or love for radio. So it's more of like, I can do this. This is easy. I can set it up. But in all honesty, it's still a broadcasting platform. The only difference is that it lives in a digital space.
CEO of Envoke online radio station Valentino Ntlangoti shared with us his secret to staying afloat in the digital space.
Any digital platform and social platform, it grows very fast with how you engage to the people and how you present it to the people. And right now, we have been running for 2 years. We were celebrating our birthday on the 9th of April, and that was our second year. And right now, I could tell you that we are on 565,000 connections as a radio station. So the growth has been there, and we have been doing very well, like me and the team, in terms of making sure that we provide good content, we engage with the people that listen to us.
The Joburg Pulse online radio station by the city of Joburg is officially live and currently has 2 slots.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat about banking as it goes even more digital in South Africa. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back and thank you for being a part of our network. Now, banking has gone digital, and because of the pandemic, A lot of people stayed at home and preferred to do a lot of their banking online. This has resulted in a lot of banks shutting down some of its offices and physical facilities. This has happened all over the world. Capitec, a South African bank, is now allowing people to apply for a virtual card by the use of a selfie. This means that they are using artificial intelligence in order to do this. And this is the beginning of the future of banking. Now, joining me to discuss the safety of all of this is Gur Geva, who is CEO and founder of Identify, an organization that works in the artificial intelligence and machine learning space. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Gur. Maybe if you can start by explaining how AI can actually help in the present and the future of banking.
Thank you for having me. With remote banking, we don't have access to face-to-face ability to interact with someone. We don't have hardware to capture a fingerprint, which is a very expensive, accurate piece of hardware that can confirm the identity of the person. The moment that someone is remote, we're relying on a face capture, we're relying on voice authentication, and those, with the advent of deep fakes and digital identity attacks, are much easier to spoof than fingerprint hardware devices or face-to-face interaction. And so AI has got a very big role to play and a big job to do in authenticating individuals that are being onboarded to a bank remotely or subsequently authenticated to a bank remotely. So for instance, you are banking with an existing bank, but you want to join a new bank. That's an onboarding. But then you want to log in every day and you want to make sure that the person logged in is the correct person. You need to rely on biometrics at the edge, at the device, in order to authenticate that person as the right person.
Is it safe, Gur?
AI and neural networks are trained at scale to detect the edges and the borders of an identity document to capture it accurately. They're trained to detect the face image on an identity document and extract that for the means of the face match comparison. And then finally, when you're actually physically doing the face match of the person on the other side of the phone and in the identity document, AI is very, very useful in learning and minimizing the error rate. If you look similar to your brother or your cousin, or I look very similar to my brother, then the error rate is how often does the face match algorithm accept me as my brother, called the false accept rate, or my brother as myself. And AI at scale can learn our features and the triangle of importance here to make sure that we onboard the correct people and we subsequently authenticate the right people to the banking environment.
Organizations such as Identify often need skills that can help in the AI and machine learning space. Would you say that South Africa has enough developers that can assist in all of this?
We are, as a business, very software developer hungry. And I think that our team is entirely South African, and developers are expensive. And they're expensive because there's short supply. Do we need more software developers? Absolutely. And as part of the fourth industrial revolution, what I think South Africa should focus in the same way that, and not even South Africa, Africa, what Africa should focus on is the creation of proper education focused on software development, on AI development, because there is such a world shortage. If you look at how capable and how productive India is, they've set an incredibly good example of how many computer scientists come out of India on an annual basis. There is a massive shortage. And I've got friends and colleagues that have software technology training campuses that are attracting 50, 60 million rands worth of funding in order to train young, bright African minds to code. I think we should do it. I think we should do it en masse, and I think we should export that skill by staying in country, but exporting the code that we write here over the next 10, 20, 50 years, because I think there's a massive opportunity for that.
Now, as banks are moving into the AI space even more and more, they will need partner organizations that can help them process data very fast, and a lot of data at the same time. What do you think they should look for in organizations that they partner with?
Enterprise-wide risk management is important. I think the risk is identity theft. So a client like me can have their identity stolen. I can have 400,000 rands worth of cars bought in my name. If I go make a noise on that on social media, that can really divert clients to other banks, and that lost revenue there is very, very important. Penalties from the regulators can be into the tens or hundreds of millions of rands, and technology obsolescence. If you're using outdated tech that you need to upgrade, and your competitors are on the front foot, it's going to cost a lot of time, money, and effort to get onto the front foot to get technology which is fit for purpose and market leading. Those are some of the factors to consider.
All right, thank you very much for being a part of our network, Gurgeva. Now, Gurgeva there is a founder and CEO of Identify, a company that works in the artificial intelligence and machine learning space. And with that, let's take a short break. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the technology space.
Apple Inc. announced a line of slim iMac computers and iPads with higher quality video that use its own processors as it speeds its migration away from Intel and caters to a work-from-home world.
Next, iMac has always been about its best-in-class display. On the new iMac, we made the display an expansive 24 inches. By narrowing the borders, we fit the significantly bigger display in a design that's only slightly larger than the 21.5-inch iMac. And it has nearly 11.3 million pixels in its 4.5K Retina display, so you can see your content in all its glorious detail.
Apple introduced new iPad Pros that use the same M1 chip as its computers rather than a beefed-up version of its iPhone chips, and additional ports for connecting monitors and 5G connectivity, aiming the device at content creators. And now in Belgium. The European Commission announced tough draft rules on the use of artificial intelligence, including a ban on most surveillance, in an attempt to set global standards for a key technology dominated by China and the United States.
Our regulation addresses the human and societal risks associated with specific uses of AI, and this is to create trust. On the other hand, our coordinated plan outlines the necessary steps for member states that they should take to boost investment and boost innovation. And that is to guarantee excellence. All this to ensure that we strengthen the uptake of artificial intelligence in Europe.
The Commission also said that AI applications that allow governments to do social scoring or exploit children will be banned. High-risk AI applications used in recruitment, critical infrastructure, credit scoring, migration and law enforcement will be subject to strict safeguard. And now in Switzerland. A robotic company is seeing rising interest in its latest invention, a fully automated bartender that can mix dozens of cocktails and even make terrible jokes.
So what you see here is the Barney Bar. It's a fully robotic bar that can serve, you can see 16 different drinks, liquors can be mixed with ice and soda, and so it's fully robotic and can create a drink for you fresh.
The Zurich company, which makes the robot and its operating software, has so far sold robots to China and Oman, where a mocktail-making robot works in a shopping mall. Each model costs around 120,000 Swiss francs.
Netflix shares have taken a slump, and we are finding out that quite a number of people are unsubscribing from various video streaming platforms. These were really popular during hard lockdowns. So our Twitter poll this week is asking you if you are still a subscriber to some of those that you enjoyed when you were still spending more time at home and possibly more time alone. 26% of you say yes. There's 15% of those that responded to our poll who say they've stayed on some streaming services, but they've left others. There's 13%, and that number is in last position. Those people say they have unsubscribed completely. In first place are people who say they have never subscribed to online video streaming services before. That figure is at 47%. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. From me, Siphumelele Zondi, and the rest of the network team. Thank you very much for being a part of our network. Stay home and stay safe. Have a good one. It's good night.